A very good afternoon from wherever you're watching us, and welcome for another time to The Critical Eye. Now, the next general elections are fast approaching, and it is becoming a rather stinking culture in our political battlefield that every electioneering period is characterized by violence that, in most cases, yield to death and destruction of property. Now, today, my panel over here is going to deliberate on how we can reverse this bad culture shortly after this break. Welcome back to The Critical Eye. Now, we are going to start our deliberation by, I'm going to just ask my panelists to introduce themselves, starting from the gentleman on my left.
Thank you very much, Mr. Clem. My name is Vincent Opio. I'm very humble and very grateful to be part of this great discussion.
Okay, welcome for another time to The Critical Eye. And on my right, immediate right, I mean.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Mr. Clifford, who is the moderator of this panel. And thank you for having me on board. It's a very good Sunday. It's only that most of us, we chose to go on the YouTube to attend to the church sermons. I'm Kirui Humphrey, the general of this university.
Okay, welcome to The Critical Eye, Mr. Kirui. So, and finally, on the lady on my far right.
Okay, thank you so much for this opportunity. I'm so glad and happy to be in this panel today. I'm Mary Rombo and very happy that you all will enter.
Welcome, Mary. I believe Mary is the only first guest on our show. The other ones have been with us, and welcome to The Critical Eye. So I'm going to start our deliberation, and Vincent, perhaps you can set the pace for our conversation. You know, both pre and post-electoral periods in our country have proved to be rather chaotic in terms of the way people relate. So I'm going to ask you to set the pace for us. What might be the cause of these violences, you know?
Thank you, Clem. What majorly causes chaos after every electioneering period in our nation is dissatisfaction of election results. Where one team feel that their candidates are not been given the rightful count of the votes, and another group feel that their candidate has won but has been denied the victory. So the two groups always start warring and fighting to each other, which causes a lot of chaos in our nation.
And Vincent, maybe in your own opinion, this dissatisfaction, what do you think brings it about? Is it that our electoral bodies are not so transparent in the manner in which they carry out their processes, electoral processes?
I will say that our nation, there is still, we still don't trust our electoral bodies. Yeah, we think that they are somehow influenced with a certain group that always give them instruction to decide on who wins or who loses.
Okay.
That means that majorly the voters doesn't have voice to choosing their respective leaders, but the people who count the votes are the one who decide who will win.
And is that true, that the voters don't decide?
I think it is true. Yeah.
Okay, perhaps you'll have to prove that for us as we go on with the discussion. Maybe I'll jump over to Mr. Kirui over here to tell us what he thinks about this.
I think majority of the Kenyans politicians, they go back to their people and they sell their manifesto or the ideas to the people so that the people vote along the tribal lines. I think as per now, Kenya is a democratic state whereby if you are from Mombasa, you stay in Kisumu, definitely you are Kenyan. We should remove that mentality. You know, a white man made an effort of breaking of killing the tribal what? This animal called tribal. And that's why he created Kenya. And now for us, we have come into the ground and created this perspective that Kiru is our man. If today Vincent Opio goes to, for example, Rift Valley, no, this guy is from the lake, so we want to vote you. So we are voting along tribal lines, and that perspective should be totally escalated. And what I can add on that is like, for example, I know we are heading to the third general elections under the new constitution of the Republic of Kenya. And you know, the Kenyans anticipate a lot that some of the reforms should be implemented fully. And like to restore public confidence in the electoral process, I think the government should consider the following three factors. Number one, you conduct a comprehensive audit of electoral process, drawing on all relevant legislative and legislation and institutions mechanisms. Then maybe point number two, you need to address inadequate training of IBC field officers, the police and other security guys. Then you enhance the communication. The communication whereby, for example, you can create awareness to Kenyans that, for example, if you violate electoral law, what will be done to you? Yeah,
Okay.
like we should not go back to the post-election violence.
Perhaps,
What we witnessed in 2007.
Perhaps if we might maybe interject in your narration, do you mean that IBC officials in our country are not properly trained, or?
You know, as far as they've been trained, but I think a lot has to be done on it so that you know, IBC is an institution established under the Constitution of Kenya 2010,
Okay.
and its independency should be respected. And despite the fact, even the IBC officials are allowed to vote, but they should not show off that they are a partisan towards a particular political party.
Okay, you'll hold that thought for now. We'll come back to it later. So maybe I'll give Mary a chance to maybe air her opinion on what she thinks might be the cause of this situation where violence and all kind of turmoil come in during electioneering period.
Okay, thank you. You know, since independence, Kenya has had the opportunity time, or maybe a roadmap on democratic consolidation. So I think we as youth members, we are being used with some politicians, and that's one I can talk about maybe lack of job opportunities. So we are being promised some fake material things, and then after that, after all, the politicians won't give us the exact result that they promise about. So that is a very big cause for us, and I think it is even lowering our economic status of living. Yes.
Okay.
Let me add something. I think another thing that contributes to our political tension or violence is that different tribes or different communities, they always believe that if their tribal king is not represented or does not vie, especially for presidency, they will never see development. Yeah.
Right. Tribal kings, maybe you can elaborate on that.
For example, you say, let me give a good example in Nyanza. We believe that when Raila is not the president, there is no time development will come to
So
Nyanza.
is it right to have a tribal king, or whatever you call it?
Somehow.
It's right.
I think it's right.
Okay.
It's
Okay.
right. It motivates our opinions of who we want
A political
on the ground.
king
Okay,
is
Yes.
is going there to represent our opinion and our interest, our
But
political
every
interest.
every constituency has a representation in the parliament, and every ward has a MCA in the county assembly.
My friend, you cannot compare presidency with an MCA.
Yes.
What's so good about presidency when the nini are supposed to be fairly distributed? What's so important about the presidency per se?
See, the power that that the president have cannot be compared with what is stipulated in the constitution. Responsibilities of the MCA. The president can command that let there be roads. The roads
Okay.
come.
But MC has to request
has
or
to
represent his people. That these people in particular community needs a road.
Okay.
In fact, the MCAs begs for
Yeah.
development,
Okay.
but
Okay.
the president
Have
has
that
directive and command.
full
Okay,
power.
that's a conversation we
And
have
maybe, for
another time.
example, if I can add on what Sister Romba and Vincent are saying, we have deficiencies in civic and voter educations, whereby we only wait towards elections, is whereby we come down to the voters so that we can enlighten them about the elections. These things should be done continuously, whether election is there or not.
Okay.
But when we are going to do this thing, when election is just above 3 months to come, and then that's how you find yourself like youth don't give you a listening ear to listen to IBC. For example, like right now, no one has confidence in IBC. They believe like IBC always they always like do what? Concur with the government to rig elections.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perhaps we'll have that discussion another time. But for now, let's move to the next part of our discussion. So it's good that, Mary, you mentioned something about the youth.
Yeah.
And the youth have been considered the super spreaders and super victims of electoral violence. Do you agree with this observation, first of all? That the youth are the most affected in terms of spreading violence and in terms of being the most affected with this violence. What's the cause of youth being involved with this violence?
Okay, I think youths are mostly being used as victims when it comes to political chaos. So, like mostly MCAs, they are using majority of youths. And you know, in Kenya, it's like 2/3 of the number of youths are voters. Yes, in every electoral year. So I think that is lack of insecurity, or lack of job opportunity. So youths go to represent a certain politician there, being promised of something, maybe the cash they're being given, which can't even afford the whole of the thing or the whole of their life. And then after that, you find that there might be a war. This community and the other one. Yeah, and it is youths who are spreading it mostly.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Vincent, why are the youth so involved with violence in this country? Or do you disagree with the fact that surveyors of post-election violence find it that the youth are the most engaged with this violence?
I will agree with you that the youths are the most engaged in violence because, one, they are jobless. And you know, an idle youth, normally say that an idle youth is too dangerous than genocide itself.
Okay.
They have accumulated energy that when they find where a destructive point that they can use it, they will use it forcefully.
Okay.
And the politician always take advantage of this. In fact, being that the political season has just begun, every politician, be it presidential candidate, person who want to be the governor, senator, women rep, MP, or the MCA, most of them in their manifesto, they majorly use the youths as their subjects and objects of political campaign.
Okay.
Because they know now a bigger percentage of youths are jobless. They are jobless, they are educated, but they do not have something tangible that they can do to bring their daily bread. So when a politician have realized this, we'll bring them on board and give them instruction. Hey, hate so and so. You hate so and so in exchange of cash. You are paid to hate certain politician. Yeah.
But don't you think they have the power to say no to these politicians?
They have the power to say no, but they are hungry.
Okay.
Youths are hungry. You know, when they have something to put on table, they are highly engaged in doing constructive things. They will never have time to following the politician.
Okay.
But because they are idle, politicians will take advantage of this. And in that sense, most of the politicians do not want to empower youths or to keep them busy doing constructive things, because they know that when they engage or they assign or they employ these youths, they will not have people to use or people to the psychophancy. Most of them, they enjoy what we call the psychophancy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, thank you for that. Kirui, perhaps you can shed more light on this, or maybe disagree with these statistics, or what Vincent here had to say.
Whatever Vincent has said, for example, what I can say, however famous you are, you cannot sit down on a round table with an angry stomach, expecting that you can sell your policies or manifesto and expect it to be absorbed fully. I can agree with them. They have said about unemployment. Youth have gone to school. Despite the fact you have gone to school, you have that degree or certificate, that paper of yours. What next do you expect to do? You're expecting unemployment from university. Maybe you come out to hustle in the job market. If you get a job, well and good. But if you don't get a job, you know, you can engage in such activities. For example, like you come to us, you are lying to the nation that youth have been employed, and maybe the job we have been given is the casual jobs, and you know, like the casual job doesn't have job security. Anytime you can just wake up tomorrow that we have downsized the number.
Okay.
We no longer need you guys. You see that? So like, and then again, we have that we should remove the culture of impunity. And these are some of the things should be addressed in the reforms. Like you realize, me, I've been born and raised up, for example, in Kisumu, but in a rental house, whereby that is the place I call home. But my own ancestral land, I don't have. I may be mistaken, despite the fact of my name. I come from Rift Valley. My baby, I was born and raised in Kisumu. Kisumu is the place I call home. So you come and attack me and render me houseless. You want me to go to Rift Valley? Where can I go to Rift Valley? Because of my name, you associate with my name with the Rift Valley. So you want me to go and find shelter or a home in Rift Valley.
Okay.
So, and this is the place I've been born and raised up in Kisumu.
Okay.
So again, what I can say, like youth, we make 60 or 65% of the population of Kenya. If we come together, I think we can say a very bold no to electoral violence. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Perhaps Mary can wrap up that thought for us.
but still, it's hard because like I don't think if youth can agree, not unless we have come with our own organization as youth, so that we get to recruit a lot of youth, so that we all go out as the champion of peace across Kenya. Because like right now we can initiate this organization in Kisumu. So we spread the message. So we get others in Nairobi, Eldoret, the same. Also spread the message, the gospel of peace in Kenya.
Kirui, if I remember, you said that you can't sit somewhere while hungry and expect to sell ideologies to people. At the same time, you mentioned that the youth are employed in their hungry and angry at the same time. So how do you expect the youth to now think about sitting somewhere to create an organization that advocates for peace when they have a chance somewhere that they will be given some 1,000 or 1,500 or 500 or even 200 or 100 to go and maybe cause violence in a certain area, you know? How do you expect the youth to change that?
Youth needs to be empowered.
Okay.
And their allocation also is in the government. But these people calling themselves the youth, you realize they are not in the age bracket or that cohort of being called a youth.
Okay.
But by the time, we might sit down. Also, like for example, we may realize that other youths, they have not gone to school. But we, the elites, if we come together, we can also pull those who have not gone to school to be part and parcel of us, so that we can drive our own agendas as youth. We can go and even like seek, like we have these funds for youth. So what is it called? The youth fund.
It's called youth fund.
Youth fund.
We have the youth fund. We can go and apply for those youth funds. Youth funds, and maybe for us, we have our own objective. What do we want to do with these youth funds?
Okay.
But the government also should empower the youth. If the government doesn't empower the youth, as my brother Vincent has said, actually, it would be very tough.
Okay.
In fact, Kirui, politics of handout has highly spoiled our youths. And I don't like being paid to vote. Accepting money to vote for a particular candidate is a direct selling of an individual voice, never to complain for any lack of development within your area or your region. You know, when a politician has given you money, you will not tell him, hey, Kiongozi, you did not construct this road, our hospital do not have, are not well equipped, we need good school. You tell you, my friend, you know, I paid you. You did not vote for me because of my agenda or willingly, but you voted for me because of the cash that I gave you.
Okay.
So it's an absolute killing of individual voice. So politics of handout should be highly avoided with our youths if they want the prosperity of our nation.
Okay. Thank you for that. We will move on for now. So, you know, now that this problem is already at hand, and according to the responses I've got from you, it seems like the solution lies with the youth, and of course with the government, in case of political goodwill. Now, perhaps you guys might enlighten me on some of the ways that we can engage the youth and change their mentality that election is not about getting that 500, or that, you know, violence has far much worse effect than the 500 that is given in your pocket in exchange for causing violence. Perhaps I'll start with you, Vincent. Some of the ways that we can engage the youth to make sure that they, you know, change this culture.
It's high time that the government has to engage youth in constructive ideas on a nation. Youths are very strong. Youths are highly educated. Youths are highly talented. And if the government can create what we call an enabling environment for them to practicing their talents, giving them jobs, and abolishing corruption in some institutions, then will be in the right direction.
So the solution lies entirely with the government.
Youth also, they have their part to play. Yeah.
And what are some of these parts? Or perhaps you'll...
Okay, I can help you on that. I think we as youth, we should not always be slow learners.
Okay.
Like in the other part, we just say that these politicians, they are just there to misuse youths during electoral periods. So I think that if we as a youth members, we agree and then we form a peace, making or we build that peace within ourselves. I think that fight between between this community and the other one won't be there. So I think also when we chip into government part, I think during government will also take their part of maybe empowering youths with job. Like we have so many companies here have collapsed down. Where do you want youths to get their jobs? So I think that one is also really lowering that improvement of maybe youth economy anyhow, yes. And that's why you find that youths are being engaged in so many bad things in the country. And when it comes to political, maybe electoral periods, many youths will fall on it, yes. Being that they're being paid cash all the time, not knowing or being wise enough to know that this thing won't take you anywhere. It is not even for future reference. It's just there to bring something on the table, maybe on that day. Yes. So I think if we become wise enough as youth members and we make peace, we build it ourselves, then I think this violence of here and there among any other community won't be there at all. Yes.
Okay, thank you for that. Maybe Kirui will wrap up the thought for us now.
I think Rome was built for many years, but destroying it, you only need a second or a microsecond to just throw a missile and destroy the entire Rome city. So I think the government should empower youth by, for example, lowering, so that you should lower the interest rates, the bank interest rates, or financial institutions, these lenders, so that the youths can access banks. You know, we have the skilled, semi-skilled, and unskilled youths. And even, for example, they can be guided. Maybe financial institution can come to, for example, like a place like this, and find and set a date for that particular, for the youth from that particular region, so that they can come and educate us about their banking rates and the loans, for example. Like, for example, if you are a starter, you can be given like a 10,000. And you know, like youths, they are very creative and innovative. We can decide now maybe to create like, for example, I've seen along Kibuye, we have youths where they are so much innovative and creative. They make sufurias, the modern sufurias, and they even sell them. Even the government should empower those commodities that are locally made, and even set higher rates or to those people who import goods from outside, so that they empower these locally made materials.
But Kiri, you are mentioning some gap on empowerment. But you'll agree with me that there are existing policies and initiatives that the government have put in place. For example, we have the KIOP, which is in full Kenya Youth Empowerment Opportunity Program. I don't know, something of that kind. And then we have the Youth Fund, of course, the Weasel Fund. You're mentioning Buy Kenya, Build Kenya.
You buy Kenya, you build Kenya. The problem in Kenya is one, poor implementation. Poor implementation. We can come with the beautiful policies that if a learned friend like Vincent or Rombo, or even you, the moderator here, if you go through it, you can be convinced that really I can access the money. But now, a journey begins a single step. So one day, you just wake up from your house, go to the bank. You say, maybe the requirement is my national ID, maybe 2 guarantors, they have come to support me. And you'll see if you'll get that money. I think implementation is the only trouble in Kenya.
Okay, let me just finish it for him. Like, I think like we have that youth fund in maybe Kisumu County. You know, the youths are there and they are really vulnerable, but they don't know how to access such kind of funds in the government,
and where is the
being
problem?
that they lack that information. So when here it comes in government, they come up with that fund, maybe like in Kisumu County, then they establish it, but you find that youths won't be able to access it. So it's something that is there, it's something that is being announced, but youths can't access it, being that they lack that information. Like in KIOP, many youths are really vulnerable and maybe they they are really willing to go there, but they can't even apply. Where are those people who can at least uplift our youths to apply maybe on how to get that opportunity in Kenya? Yes.
Okay.
So I think there must be a change in Kenya, and we need a very big change.
So the gap there is that the youth have not been enlightened on how to access.
Yes, they don't have that enough communication.
Okay.
So they've not been sensitized. Yeah?
Yes, on how to access such kind of things in government.
Okay.
Yes.
Vincent, you have something to add, maybe?
First, loan is killing youths.
Of course.
Today, if I call a friend using a strange number, he will not pick.
Okay.
Yeah. Then when you use the number that ask him, hey, my friend, why did you not pick my call? Hey, I thought that sijui Tala, don't know branch.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Now, to the last part of our deliberation here today, I am going to maybe perhaps ask you guys to focus on your cameras, and maybe what you can tell Kenyans as the next general election is approaching, what you can tell Kenyans to make sure that we don't see a repeat of maybe 2007, 2013, and 2017, where there were violence and the property were destructed. Because, it's already in the public domain, and some political commentators have already started to show their fears that perhaps 2022 will be a very heated kind of a contest, and perhaps there will be violence. Maybe, Mr. Kirui, you might start for us.
Maybe what I can tell Kenyans is that we, the youth, should not accept to be fooled by the politicians. We should not accept to be used and dumped by the politicians, because today I engage in electoral violence. I may kill my own neighbor, may kill my own brother, maybe my own brother from another mother, but I may not know. It's only one person is allowed to take the life of a human being, and that's the God. Do not judge your fellow neighbor, your fellow friend. Let's just live in peace, because we have the strong arm of the law. We have also the tribunals, that if you are suspected, you are a suspect that the government sees that you might cause electoral violence, you'll be arrested and detained, or you'll be arrested, and do what? You'll be prosecuted.
Okay, thank you. Vincent, perhaps you can wrap up.
One, Kenya is our nation. Political seasons come and goes, but we remain as youths. We should vote for leaders based on their agendas, and we should not use our stomach to voting. Lastly, it took us so many years to reach where we are as a nation, but a single day can bring this nation down to tatters. So let us make sure that as youths we unite. We can disagree based on our political affiliation, but let the disagreement not bring chaos, not let us kill one another, not let us burn our neighbor's house. Yet today we live together as neighbors, but let political party or political system make us burn our houses tomorrow because neighbor A or neighbor B is supporting a politician whom I don't love. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that.
Okay, I think as a youth Kenyans, we should stop being puppets of politicians. Yes, that is number one. And number two, then in overall, all Kenyans, we should improve in peace building.
Okay.
Yes, and then I think there are also some measures that government should take in conflict mitigation. Yes, that will help us during electoral times. Yes.
Okay, thank you very much for that. We've come to the end of our conversation today, and perhaps I'll wrap up by dropping down a reminder to Kenyans and my fellow youth. 12 or 14 years down the line, that is the year 2007, the country was in turmoil. Our brothers, our sisters, our relatives, our mothers died. Our businesses cramped, and the country went in flames. 2013, it repeated itself, but this time it was not so intense. And 2017, it almost went back to the 2007 situation. 2022 is coming, and I believe our politicians are ready with their tools and weapons to incite us, especially those of us who are jobless and depressed. I want to remind you, and I want to warn you, I want to tell you, you will face the consequences alone. Perhaps the person you're fighting for will be in a very big office somewhere in the capital city, or maybe in a very nice beach, having fun, while you suffer the consequences of the chaos. So, be watchful.